In the dusty haze of Dust Creek, a woman in a black dress stepped into Murphy's saloon, her presence chilling the air like a winter storm. Conversations halted mid-sentence, glasses froze halfway to lips, and every eye tracked her deliberate stride. She moved with a predator's grace, her fingers brushing the brim of her hat as she scanned the room. Her gaze locked onto Thomas "Razor" Murphy, slouched over his whiskey at a corner table, his face bloated from years of indulgence. A smile, cold and sharp as a grave's edge, curled her lips. 5 years had passed since Murphy torched the Thorn Ranch, a crime he bragged about to anyone too drunk to care. His hands still trembled when thunder rumbled, a secret only the storm knew. Tonight, he was mid-tale, spinning lies about driving out troublesome settlers, when the woman approached. Without invitation, she pulled out a chair and sat across from him. The kerosene lamp between them cast shadows that carved her face into stone. Murphy's annoyance faded as her eyes pinned him, silencing the complaint in his throat. "You don't remember me, do you, Thomas?" Her voice was silk over steel. She placed a charred piece of wood on the table, the letter T burned into it, a relic of the Thorn Ranch. Murphy's face drained to ash. His fingers twitched toward his gun but froze as she watched him, unblinking, patient as a vulture. "Cordelia Thorne died in that fire," he stammered, voice cracking. "Everyone knows that." "Everyone knows a lot that isn't true," she replied, leaning closer. The lamplight caught scars snaking across her left cheek, marks of a fire that should have killed her. "Like how you told the sheriff Samuel started it himself. How you convinced the town we harbored outlaws. How you buried the truth." Murphy shoved back, his chair scraping, but her hand shot out, gripping his wrist with surprising strength. Through her gloves, he felt the rough texture of burned scars. 5 years, Thomas. I've thought of you every day. Do you still wake screaming, like I do? What Murphy didn't know was that Cordelia had poisoned his whiskey 20 minutes earlier. Jimson weed, slow but sure, was already dilating his pupils. He stumbled, knocking over his chair, as the saloon's patrons turned to stare. "Easy, Thomas," Cordelia said loudly, her tone mocking concern. "Too much whiskey tonight." She caught his arm, her grip iron, playing the Good Samaritan for the crowd. Murphy's tongue thickened, his words a useless groan. She nodded to the bartender. "I'll get him home safe. Poor man's overworked." In the alley, her mask dropped. She shoved Murphy against the brick wall, watching him crumple like a broken doll. His eyes bulged with terror, but his body betrayed him, paralyzed. "Jimson weed," she said, crouching to meet his gaze. "A Comanche woman taught me. Funny how the savages you scorn know more about mercy than you." She pulled out a leather journal, opening it to a page with Murphy's name scrawled at the top, followed by notes on his habits, his crimes, his victims. 2 hours, Thomas. You'll hear everything, see everything, but you won't move. Won't scream. She turned the page, revealing 3 names, Murphy's, crossed out, Silas Kane, Dutch Hartwell. Murphy's eyes rolled in panic as she read aloud, his routines, his boasts, how he'd spent Samuel's stolen money. "You'll feel it all, like Samuel felt the flames." As she stood, brushing dirt from her dress, a whistle pierced the night, Silas Kane's signal. The sheriff was coming, deputies in tow. Cordelia's hand found the knife hidden in her dress as Kane rounded the corner, his gray-streaked hair and sagging gut betraying his age. His cold blue eyes, though, hadn't changed since he'd watched her ranch burn. "Strange woman helping drunks in alleys," he drawled, hand on his pistol. "Real Christian of you, miss." She turned, hands visible, face a mask of concern. "Sheriff, thank goodness." This man collapsed. "I was helping him." Kane's eyes narrowed. Her voice stirred something, a ghost from a nightmare. "Most Samaritans don't dress for funerals," he said, stepping closer. "Maybe some of us know death when we see it," she replied, and Kane's blood chilled. He knew that voice. His hand twitched toward his gun, but Cordelia was faster. Her knife flew, burying itself in the throat of the deputy to Kane's left. The second deputy fired wildly as Kane shouted, "Alive! We need her alive!" Cordelia melted into the shadows, using crates and barrels for cover. Kane's shots echoed, but her laughter rang colder, bouncing off the walls. "You burned me completely, Silas. What's here now is something you made." A bottle shattered near Kane's head, and in his flinch, she tackled the second deputy, her knee cracking his ribs. Kane's bullet sparked off the cobblestones as she rolled away. From his office window, Dutch Hartwell watched, his brandy glass shattering on the floor. Cordelia Thorne, alive, was a reckoning. He'd paid Murphy to burn her ranch, forged documents to steal her land for the railroad. Now, she was here, and she knew everything. His hands shook as he reached for the telegraph, summoning hired guns from 3 counties that I in the alley, Cordelia taunted Kane. 5 years, Silas. Planning how you watched my home burn, called Samuel a criminal. Kane fired again, his hands unsteady. He had stolen cattle, he shouted. Lies Dutch paid you to believe, she snapped, dodging behind a barrel. Lies to clear our land for the railroad. Kane glanced at Murphy, still paralyzed. What did you do to him? Gave him time to think, she said, her voice behind him now. He spun, firing into the dark, his gun clicking empty. Cordelia stepped from the shadows, her knife gleaming. Kane fumbled for bullets, but she was calm. Beg for mercy, Silas, or run. What's it gonna be? Kane ran, slipping on wet cobblestones, bursting into his jail. He lunged for the rifle rack, but Cordelia's voice drifted through the barred window. I'm already here. She sat in an open cell, his Winchester across her lap. You were always slow, she said, stepping out, rifle trained on his chest. Dutch used Murphy for the dirty work. You were just the badge. Kane's knees buckled as she pulled a leather case from her dress, Samuel surveying equipment, thought destroyed. Mineral rights, she said, showing papers. Samuel found copper. You killed him for it. Kane slumped, the truth crashing down. Dutch hadn't just wanted the land, he wanted the wealth beneath it, the jail door creaked. Dutch Hartwell entered with 4 hired killers, their eyes dead, hands fast. The dead do rise, Dutch said, straightening his jacket. Cordelia's rifle stayed on Kane. Too clever, Dutch, she said, tossing papers onto the desk. Railroad contracts, forged surveys, murder, all exposed. The railroad pulled your contracts. Your notes are due next week. Dutch's face paled. His empire was crumbling. You think you've won, he sneered. These men don't work for the railroad. Cordelia smiled wider. I've got witnesses, Dutch. People who saw your meetings, your payoffs. They're coming for you. Torches lit the streets outside, angry townsfolk, awakened to the truth that a shotgun blast shattered the window. Murphy, shaking off the poison, had crawled to his hidden weapon. Glass flew as he fired, killing one of Dutch's men. Razor. Dutch screamed, but Murphy was beyond reason, knowing he was doomed. Cordelia dove behind the desk as bullets tore through the jail. Dutch shot Murphy dead, his body slumping in the doorway, the remaining killers fired wildly. Kane cowered, useless. Cordelia, from the attic, dropped onto a gunman, her knife finding his spine. She used his body as a shield, shooting the last killer with her Colt. Silence fell, broken only by Kane's sobs. Dutch backed toward the door, pistol trembling. Cordelia stood, guns in both hands. You should have stayed buried, Dutch spat. Samuel wouldn't let me, she said, her voice steady. She'd planned this for 5 years, and Dust Creek would never be the same.